So my dad's a musician. My grandpa played. I grew up in church. So music was pretty much everywhere around me, I would say. It was definitely in church. Like, of course, I'm sure most kids look at the musicians when they're at church like, damn, that'd be fun as fuck. Just go up there, rip out. At the time, I'm like, praise God through music. Like, that sounds fire. But, yeah, so the drums definitely spoke to me. There was a dude named Brandon who I was friends with for a long time. I was friends with his little brother and stuff. But he played drums. So every time I go to his little brother Blake's house, he would be there and he'd be practicing stuff. So, I was introduced before that. My parents got me drums when I was like 4 or 5. Oh, no, they got me guitar when I was like 4. Because my dad played guitar, but I wasn't really fucking with that. So I came back and, the next year my dad got me drums, or my grandma did. And then when I met Brandon, that's what inspired me to like practice a little bit.
Yeah, what was that moment like when you got your first drums?
First thoughts, I remember I had a love for it. I remember it's like something I always thought about.
Were your parents really happy to give you drums?
Oh, dude, yeah. My dad's a musician. I think he wanted both. Like, my brother played guitar. And I'm sure I'll do the same thing with my kids. Like, you want them to enjoy what you do too.
Yeah.
So I got hooked on it from that. But I think there was a couple reintroductions. That was like the first phase, and I can't really remember that much. It was just something I did and loved to do. But I was a kid, so I still played outside.
Yeah.
Middle school is when I started it was like, this is the thing. Like, it was always like, growing up, it was like, damn, I want to play drums when I get like Neil Peart, like a Rush. But let's
were you playing with other people at that time, or were you still by yourself practicing?
I played with my dad. So like when he'd have bands come over, he'd be like, he'd let me hop on for a little bit, or like I would go to his shows or something like that, or I'd go to his rehearsals. I'd play on other people's drum sets. And I would do that with all instruments too. So I picked up like guitar and bass a little bit, but drums is always the one that I actually, like when I was at home, I didn't play the guitar or the bass. Like I went downstairs, put on my headphones, and I shut it out. But I didn't get serious about it probably till like 7th grade, 8th grade, around there.
What made it more serious? Just your interest?
Yeah, interest. And I was always into music. I listened to so much music when I was younger. Like I got upset. My dad had a record player. So Ignition Music, I'd go down there and it was just like looking at pictures, I'd just see the one to the coolest cover, I'd take it home, I'd listen to it. And then once I got in middle school, I started finding out about jazz. I found out about jazz, yep. So I found out about jazz. And then I got really into Tony Williams is a huge inspiration. Like, that's the goat of drums. Like, that's king. Like, rest in peace to Tony. Found out about Tony.
What was it about Tony?
Well, okay, so there's a lot about Tony. So Tony played with Miles Davis's second grade quintet, which is like mid-60s. He joined when he was like 17. And he just changed the whole style of drumming. He brought a more melodic approach. There was drummers before him like Max Roach. There was Art Blakey. You can go back. There's like Chick Webb from like the 20s. But Tony was like, this is just a dude. He like mixed everything I loved before that. He mixed like technique with feeling, and he brought it on. It was just raw energy. Like he was just straight up. Like he told you how he felt on the drum set, and that was that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
what was his philosophy?
I try to. It's hard because like with drummers at that time period, there's not a lot of interviews with them, so you don't know exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah, you see a lot of them on stage. Like,
yeah, exactly. You kind of build up your own philosophy of what their philosophy is.
What was he doing that you wanted to like emulate? Was there anything?
It's just the energy. Yeah, so the biggest thing, so like he brought the almost like rock and roll energy to jazz, which was just straight up like he just, what he felt was what he felt, and he put it on the table, and it was just very raw, almost like a Hendrix kind of vibe to like a drumming thing, and it was sick. It was dope. Then after that, everyone started, and not copying, but like
they caught on.
His influence was huge.
Approach.
Yes, it was very, very, made a huge impact from that time period to here a little bit. So like at that time, so before jazz, it was like I was into like hip hop. I was really into 90s hip hop. I was really into old R&B. I was really into funk, rock, all that kind of stuff. And then when I found out about jazz, it was like, fuck all this other music. Like for some reason in my head, I was like, this is, none of it's complicated. Like none of it's cool. So I didn't mess with it. And then for a while, it's like I just wanted to play the hardest stuff. Anything that was considered like difficult music, I was like, that's only real music. Like I kind of went to that almost old head kind of mindset. But now it's like within like the last year when I went out to LA, you find there's dope musicians in every genre. Like it doesn't matter. Like it still takes like the same energy and vibe. It's just different ways of expressing it. I loved all music always, but Now it's like I'm open. I see it all. Like I try to think about it all as the same thing instead of looking at it as different genres.
Music is patterns.
Yeah.
Jazz kind of interrupts that with expression.
Mm-hmm. Jazz seems so complicated, but it's so simple. It's like a mirror. It's like a reflection of just everyday life. Like that's the philosophy of jazz. Just taking stuff that happens into like the personal world, like what we're doing right now, and then trying to put it into music. Like when I played rock and stuff like that, I was more just like the tempo keeper. And I didn't really get to express myself. You know, now that I'm older, I realize now you can do that in those types of music. But I had that kind of wall built around my mind in those type of genres.
And then jazz was like unleashing that.
Yeah, jazz was like, all right, I feel like I could talk. Like I feel like I could do what we're doing right now, but just on my instrument, which is what I always wanted to do. Like I've always liked, I guess you could, when I was younger, that I would call it overplayed. I thought I overplayed all the time, but it was just, I was just talking.
That was like more accepting.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I did it in a way that was overplaying because I wasn't confident in it. You know, I thought I was over talking, but I didn't understand the flow of it.
The flow.
Yeah, the flow.
So flow is entering a state of mind, one objective, and you're just fully invested.
Yeah. I feel like that's the whole thing of practicing your instrument is trying to like, I mean, of course, it's the techno aspect of it, but a huge part is just trying to, you practice at trying to get into that state because we all have that state. I feel like a lot, like when I grew up, I thought that state was only given to certain people throughout the world. But it's like, no, you just gotta.
It's almost embedded in the human
it's
anatomy.
It's just natural. Yeah, we all have it.
Music.
You know, whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it the flow, I feel like flow is the same thing as the Holy Spirit. When people music, they'll be like, that thing got funk on it. Like, it feels good. Like, that's the same thing. That's flow. The people are just in the moment. Everybody in that band's riding that frequency, and they're in it for the music. There's no ego involved.
When someone watches you play, you're in a completely different state of mind in your vice, so you're like kind of empowered in that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Those compliments a lot, but that's what it is. That's like, I mean, for me, it's like my flow state. It's like it feels like I'm on the throne. Like you're just saying, like this is my cockpit. Like this is where I can personally express myself the best, and let, you know, like it almost feels like magic sometimes. Like you're just, like you're in the moment. You know, you're flowing. We're just like right now we're having a conversation. When I'm playing with some people, sometimes we land on the same hits that no one planned for. And it's like, what the fuck? Like how did that happen? But that's just that state of just being in the moment.
Musical intuition.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Modulate patterns, and
it's a lot freer. For some reason, when we put that word, yeah, exactly. When we put that word jazz, it's like you automatically have more freedom, which is just in our heads, but for some reason that plays a huge part. Yeah. You know, dynamics. So you can go like ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Like, you know what I mean? Like that whole thing, like that switches the whole vibe.
You can change an entire phrase the way you articulate it.
Yeah, dynamics, bro.
Yeah.
That plays a huge part. Like, just like, dude, get off that couch. Get off that couch. It's tense, bro. Now it's like, okay, we gotta move. That's the same thing in music. Like, if the dynamics start getting heavy, you gotta reflect it. Right now, I'm rocking the Jordan 1 biohacks, you know, all the sneakerheads, which I'm not a sneakerhead, but my brother is, so he hooks me up sometimes with them. Ian Miles 574, he's got the hookup around here. It's the same thing. I try to look at like fashion and stuff like that. It's the same way as jazz. Like that's another thing with jazz. Like when you get, or any art form, I'm sure, like any craft, but when you get so into it, like that takes over your life. Like you were saying before,
it's a lifestyle associated with.
You become obsessed, and that just, you know, throughout the day, like that's all you're thinking about. Like every scenario, it's like, you know, you try to reflect that. Like with jazz, like the big thing, to go back to jazz a little bit. It's like the big, I think it's like, okay, so there's a quote by Miles Davis. It's not going to be an exact quote, but it's from his book, which is really good, the Miles Davis autobiography, and it's one of the ones that he actually sat down and wrote with someone, so it's like legit. It's like him talking and everything. And he just says, like, the philosophy of jazz is, you know, to find beauty in every moment. Like, you know, like instead of looking at something as the wrong note, just looking at it as like a different note. So, you know, I try to, I guess, do that with the same thing with the clothes I wear. Like maybe it could be looked at as stupid by some people, but like you're saying, I just look at it as it's just colorful.
There's so much beauty in simplicity.
Yeah, people look over it.
So where can I find anything of yours?
See, the thing is, I work on a lot of music, but I don't put them out that much. But I do got some stuff on SoundCloud.
And you have a band, Lightworks.
Okay, so the big thing. So at first we were going for a different vibe than what we were. At first we were going for more electronic, like hip hop oriented vibe. But now it's kind of moving over to a more fusion kind of vibe. We don't really want to have limits on us, so we're going more to I guess kind of what we're just talking about, more natural. This feels more flowy, which has recently been, I want to say like reflective. Like it reflects the moment. I feel like very well.
Okay.
In the moment, definitely experimental. We try to keep it jazz with that mindset, like everything's beautiful. Like a really good thing we've been trying to work on recently is trying to take something that's ugly and to make it beautiful. So I don't know if that could be put into one word.
I like that. Are you open to collaboration?
Dude, all the time. Any type of music. I just played over some country shit the other day.
How do you like going about that? Because I know you travel with your drums.
Dude, literally you can hit me up any place, anytime. And like you said, I always have drums on me. So I will pull them up anywhere. I got mics and stuff too. I got a studio now at Goshen. People can hit me up with. I can record out of there. You know, even if someone doesn't want to record, like I'm down just to jam and express and see if anything cool hits.
You're active
100%.
musically every day.
100%.
So how much do you practice a day?
When I was in LA and I had my practice room, I was putting in like 12 to 15 hours every day for 2 years. But now it's probably like 6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8.
6 to 8 hours. And there's like a day or two. There's probably like 3 or 4 days every month I'm just taking out, just hanging with my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's good. You need those moments because that gives you more to talk
Yeah,
about.
it keeps you balanced.
Yeah, exactly. Makes you.
You bring that love into
Yeah,
the
dude.
drums.
That's what you just nailed it on the spot, bringing love into the drums.
So you went on tour with Lala Cura?
Yeah.
One of the bands. Tell us about that experience, because you were pretty young going on tour.
Dude, yeah, I was like 16 or 17. So what happened? I went with this band called Cas Vi, which actually I just did. Okay, I forgot about a project that might be coming out pretty soon. It's like an experimental, really weird ambient, like high reverb, a very trippy kind of record. But that was with this dude named Jake Miller, who took me in. I was playing on the side of the street right by here, actually in downtown Elkhart. I was probably like 16, 17 years old. I used to do this thing where I'd just bring my drums on the side of the street on the weekend. And people can come up and jam with me if they want to, which that's how I met Nate, actually. The Kaz dudes, I was doing that same thing. They pulled up one time. And then Jake was like, Kaz Vi, Jake, same person. So Jake was like, yo, we about to go on tour. Do you want to come with us? And I'm like, yeah, bro. But I'm 16 or 17, so I'm like, shit, dude, I got to hit up my mom. Like, I don't know if I can go on tour. He was talking like 2 weeks or something like that, 2 or 3 weeks. And, you know, I can't just dip out the house. I got mom or pops at home. They might not like that. So I had to go to, you know, the Rents and say what's up. And they were cool with it. So, yeah, then I went on tour for like a Michigan,
Where did you
Indiana
start
tour.
and where did you end?
We started at Ignition, so in Goshen. Then we went all the way up, like to the tip of the Upper Peninsula. We played a bunch of shows, and we went to this thing called the Farm Block, which was super fun. It was a little festival up there. A bunch of like hippie people just like not geeked out, but you know, everyone's a little buzzed and everyone's just hanging out. Yeah, it was dope. It was a really cool vibe, and I was so young. Like I was so green, bro. I was a baby. I just said stupid shit all the time. Just played drums. It was super fun though. I met a lot of people.
Yeah, who was one person that you met that really resonated with you?
That's my boy Brennan Kane. I mean, everybody, of course, like Sammy, Raph, Jake, Mike, Jordan.
And they were all a part of...
Yeah, we went on a little... It was like a 3-band. So like there was Jordan Rose Hotel on Spotify. That's her artist name. She's sick too. You should check her out. So it was her, and she used the same band that was with Jake Miller for Cas Vi. And then Lala Cora was a different band, but there was like 2 or 3 members that were the same in that group too. Okay. So we all went with each other. But yeah, the thing with Brendan, because he's another drummer, but he's a little bit older than me. He's maybe like 27 now, so he's probably like 25 at the time, 26. And I'm 17, 16, so I was still young. And we drove together. So we would be going on like sometimes like 8-hour car rides just talking about music. And that helped me a lot. That made me realize a lot too about music.
Yeah. What are a couple of things that you learned from
him? He taught me a lot about tone. I remember being some instances where I still do. I crank my snare so high. I love like a snare that just like
slaps.
Yeah, I like it to hurt your ears a little bit. But you can't do that in every room. If you're in a small ass room, you can't be hitting the snare like you're trying to play for arena. So he taught me a lot about that and just, you know.
Yeah, the importance of the room.
Yeah, being in the moment pretty much is what he was telling me without saying it. But you know,
just have to balance the sounds.
Yeah, reading the room. You don't want to yell if you're like in a little room like this.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot about that and just talking. It's cool to talk to someone that plays your instrument.
Yeah.
Because then you get different ideas. And he listened to different music, so there's a lot of that on those car rides, just exchanging.
Right now we're at Daj HQ.
Yes, sir. Represent.
Daj HQ, Elkhart, Main Street. I have another question for you, Nelson.
Let's get it. Yo!
This is Vaughn. He's going to be a guest coming up soon. You want to say something?
Yeah, say hi. How you feeling right now?
Y'all some kings and some queens. Don't forget to hold your crown high. Stay blessed, stay unstressed, and stay wonderful.
Thank you.
Love that guy. Love that guy.
Love him.
So slick. What about this room speaks to you?
The passion I bring to spaces comes directly from the artists and creators that are in it. As a producer, a job or a role that you have is to invoke the emotion and the creativity.
That's a great way to think. Because like you're just saying, just curating the room, that makes the vibe, the energy.
Music, when you're recording, the more you can get in a moment is what we want.
Yeah. Trying to let them get in that flow state.
Yeah.
As flowy as they can. Because that energy comes out.
Yeah. They're worthy of a large space where they explore their imagination. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
That is a lot like music. But Nate always has the spots. Every time. Even that one spot off.
118.
Yeah.
Across the street was 207.
That's every spot you go to, bro. It seems like every time I come here, it's like it just feels like what you're just saying. You can tell that there's been love put in it.
Yeah.
And it's just a warm feeling. I think that's huge because we've talked about this before, but there's so much creative people in Elkhart.
This idea objective was engaged. The potential in our home that branched into the possibility of having space and environment to create in. And it's
There's so
because
many
they do
people
have something else to offer.
Yeah. There's a Midwest sound. You can tell when someone's from Midwest. I mean, like literally just by the way they put like their dynamics and chops, like there's a signature to it just from the upbringing around here.
And just the personal factor. Like,
Dude, I gotta tell you a story. One time it's crazy I just mentioned that. I was outside of this club called the Federal. And since I'm not 21, and at that time I was like 19, you had to be 21 to get a bar, so we'd have to get there like 6:30 and just wait. And there's this dude I saw on the outside before I went in. His name's Terrence Martin, and he like produces all Kendrick's music. He's a huge jazz artist. Like he's huge. He's one of the dudes. He's like one of the goats of today. And then he was with this dude named Ronald Bruner, which, in my opinion, is the goat right now of drumming. He's Thundercat's brother actually, Steven Bruner, and then Ronald Bruner. But I was talking to him, and bro, not even 3 minutes, Terrence he goes, "You're from Chicago or by Chicago?" What you mean? I'm not from Chicago. Yeah, exactly. Midwest. He literally just explained to me like there's a different dynamic in how we talk. Midwest people are really polite.
that was really nice. I love that sound.
Thank you, bro. That's just appealing.
I just love sound in general.
It is beautiful. Like we could actually make music right now. Like boom boom. Say what?
Say what?
Say what? And we back.
Is there a correlation between comedians and musicians?
It's really beautiful, like the art form of comedy, like just a dude, but it's just a person with sometimes a microphone, and then they try to make art within that. Nothing. I mean, I think the only thing that could be would just be the people they're with, because you can't make comedy if no one's laughing, right? It would be so scary to stand in front of, because bro, the drums, that's like, even though I'm wide in the open, and on drums too, like I like being in the front, like I like being kind of flashy, but if I didn't have those pair of sticks in my hands and those cymbals around my head, bro, I'd be tripping. Standing in front of a group of people just having to talk.
You would have to enter that like stage with that approach.
Dude, I'd shit myself.
It's the same flow.
Yeah,
Jazz
exactly.
And comedy.
It's the same exact frequency.
Also making you react.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of those comedians, like Dave Chappelle too, like try to take that philosophy of almost making ugly beautiful, like taking a bad situation and then trying to make light of it, trying to laugh.
He's well put and nested in his art form that he's able to express himself. Just like a song can change the world, a joke can take the world back also.
Yeah, they're the storytellers of our era. Like this whole modern civilization, like the comedians are the storytellers.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a teacher? Like for me, like I had one teacher, his name was Mr. Boston. He's my jazz band teacher. And he influenced me out of school, like taught me stuff about life. Like, did that happen with you?
My jazz director was Mr. Peterson.
Okay.
And one day he asked the class, "What is music?" And people were responding, "Music is what brings us together. Music is love."
Yeah.
Next person, "Music is energy." Life. Music. Then he said, on a technical basis.
Yeah.
And we all turned our heads and he said, "Music is organized sound.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty in that is that sound is all around us.
Yeah.
And so the elements of music are happening, like we were talking about, in the moment all the time.
Yeah, dude, music is everywhere.
Yeah.
Music is rhythm, and rhythm is life. Everything we do. Just from like,
vibration.
wake up.
To the basis of vibration.
Yeah. So do you think there's like a certain amount of energy on this earth, or do you think we create energy too?
We have energy because it was here.
Yeah.
And
so we're not necessarily making energy. We're taking that.
We are equal with the energy. The relationship between mind and matter is consciousness.
That's beautiful. I never really looked at it that way. That's dope. And that matter could be used for some other type of energy.
Yeah.
So we're using the same energy that was used millions of years ago.
All that energy that we were carrying with that momentum is now in the wall.
Yeah.
And it's just part of Earth.
Yeah, now it's just there. Go somewhere else.
Receive.
Yeah, they take it their own way.
Yeah. In Dajcast number 1, we talked about the receiver being the magic part of language.
Oh, yeah, interpretation.
Yeah. Then the consciousness can then direct that energy. Some of the passive messages in animation is what I really find beautiful lately.
Animations are crazy now.
Yeah.
Bro, have you seen Midnight Gospel?
Midnight Gospel is the show that we all deserve.
Everyone loves it too. It's so dope. All my friends are talking about it. Sick. That show's a trip.
I love it. Analyze the techniques and really appreciate it that way, because that's coming from people, and that's where the real story is.
The people that made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're the ones that put that energy into that film.
We've come to the end of Dajcast number 3. Daj Pyramid Show.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Let's go back over to that.
Yeah, let's go in that big ass
dude,
cave.
what the fuck?
There are moments in life that transcend the everyday. Hotman Jewelers is here to make those moments sparkle.